even with all this smoke and all these reports about Shedeur Sanders dropping and entitled and all that, I will be shocked.
The quarterback that I had just in my mind put away for the second day was, this is going by the script, that there's a little drama with Shedeur Sanders and whether or not teams are actually going to want the quarterback from Colorado in the first round of the NFL draft. This after, I don't know, was it October, November? He's predicted to be the number 1 overall pick. And now we have gone all the way to the 180 of maybe he's not even drafted on the Thursday night in Green Bay. Armando Salguero, who will join us on the show, and you can listen to the full podcast wherever you download your audio. He's OutKick's senior NFL writer. He said this months ago, month and a half, 2 months ago, that maybe he doesn't even fall. Maybe he's not even drafted. He falls completely out of the first round, and we kind of laughed at it and chuckled. But I still do that today as we are getting ready to see what happens. The drama is going to play out where I do think he's drafted in the first round, despite what everyone else is now doing, leaving him out of mock drafts. And Jordan Schultz put this out today. He spoke to a high-level NFL executive, another anonymous executive. But
now we're into the season, Hutton, of your schedule,
yes,
where we get anonymous reports,
the 12th hour,
anonymous testaments bashing someone,
and then
followed by the bounce-back anonymous message bashing the person, bashing the player, which I love this
on the condition of anonymity. The quote, the anonymous negative quotes that pop up every year, total garbage. If you've got something to say, put your name on it or keep it in-house. Every team has access to similar intel. Nobody's dumb enough to read a tweet and suddenly pull a guy off their board. This is supposed to be a celebration for these players, the biggest weekend of their lives. And instead, some people try to torpedo them for clout. Enough already. It's embarrassing for the league. That on the side of Shedeur Sanders, and I'm just not buying it here. We knew about.
By the way, that also from an anonymous report.
Executive.
I know what he's saying. If you're going to be that negative about something, at least put your name behind it.
Yeah.
He wasn't being negative, but he was being negative about the anonymous person not putting their name behind it. So I feel like that's one he could have just put his name behind.
I agree.
Jordan Schultz could say, hey, talk to such and such general manager, and they had this to say about that anonymous report, and they would have looked good by saying that, right? If you're the GM.
I mean, now it's you are not a part of the groupthink if you have Shedeur in the first round. A lot of the mocks now leaving him completely out of it.
Let's get him out of there. That's
totally out
saying.
of it. I mean, check out the Athletics' Dane Brugler here. He's not in Brugler's 2025 mock draft at all. In fact, Dane only has, and by the way, I say groupthink. Dane doesn't do the groupthink. He does.
He's very good.
The beast is incredible that he writes and puts together each and every year. Cam Ward, number 1 overall. You won't see another quarterback off his board until 26 to the Giants with Jackson Dart, where they're trading back in to draft the quarterback. That's it.
But I do think he is buying into, as you call it, Hutton, which is right, groupthink. Because what Dane does with his mock, now he ranks everyone and has his beast and does that. This is not his ranking. This is what he thinks will happen.
Yeah.
So this is not him saying, I wouldn't draft Shedeur Sanders if I needed a quarterback.
That's right.
This is him saying everything being reported.
How he sees it.
Everything I hear, what I see now is that Shedeur Sanders is suddenly out of the first round completely.
Yeah, but just not at this stage would this all of a sudden just be teams taking him and putting him in a different category altogether, different round altogether. Chad, comparing what we had earlier this week, the OutKick Hot Mic Top 10 mock. We have Shedeur Sanders going 7th with the Saints trading up.
Trade up to get him.
Trade up with the Jets. They just swap picks in order to go ahead and make sure that they get their quarterback.
I still feel like I'm going to be really surprised if he gets past the Saints. I feel less confident in a trade up to get him as we had in our top 10. But I still am going to be surprised if he's not the second quarterback taken in this draft.
Are you surprised either way? Because there's a new name that's popping up.
So every year we get a quarterback surprise in the NFL draft, right? Every single year we see this. 2 years ago, it was Will Levis falling all the way out of the first round into the second round. Hutton, wouldn't you agree that Shedeur Sanders going to the second round would be a bigger surprise than Will Levis falling into the second round? I agree, too.
And any coincidence that it's Mel Kiper who he had Will Levis number 1 on his board. He has Shedeur Sanders as his top quarterback in this draft.
I don't think there's any coincidence
Is
in
there-
that
is
at
there a
all.
curse?
There's the Mel Kiper, there's the hair of Mel Kiper curse that's going on with quarterbacks. A year ago, Michael Penix Jr. going top 10.
That was the
to the
surprise.
Falcons was a giant shock because of what they just invested in Kirk Cousins
Yes.
just that offseason. So big surprise, big surprise. If this holds up, and what I mean by this is that Joe Shane, Giants GM, his son has been all over these things, right? He's the one that on Hard Knocks offseason told his dad he needs to draft Jaden Daniels. Of course, they didn't, and the rest is history for both the Commanders and the Giants. And now, last night, he posts a highlight reel of Jackson Dart and then later deleted it. Now, this is either some CIA level, like deep fake, faking people out, getting them to think that they like Jackson Dart more than anyone else, inside joke type stuff since his son
And Carson put his
was the
account
one,
private or whatever.
since the son was the one who said they should draft Jaden Daniels too. Or the Giants are really going to trade up and draft Jackson Dart.
Not trade. Well, what I had on the skinny yesterday is that the Giants could trade down to the second half of
Trade back
the
and then
first
still
round.
go. Yeah.
Now, when you say trade up, that is what Dane Brugler had them doing, trading back into the first round.
So Dane Brugler has him going to the Giants, though, right?
Yes, but the
with a
Giants
trade
actually
up.
selecting Abdul Carter as well at 3.
Yeah, and that's what I was looking at. So he's got Jackson Dart going 26 to the Giants in a trade-up scenario.
And 26 will be the Rams, which I also mentioned yesterday.
Hutton, we're going to know very soon, how this is all going to turn out and what's going to happen. I just want to put it on the record right now that we get a quarterback surprise every year. And if Jackson Dart is the second quarterback off the board after Cam Ward goes at number 1 to the Titans, I will still be shocked. Even with all this smoke and all these reports about Shedeur Sanders dropping and being the worst interview in the history of interviews in the NFL and entitled and all that, I will be shocked if Jackson Dart, who just a week ago, we were sitting here on the show, reading all the tea leaves, reading all the reports out there and saying, why is it so silent on Jackson Dart? You don't hear anything good or bad about him. It was just very
Silent on all
quiet.
those
There was
guys.
no, he's not gaining steam or this team loves him.
Yeah, you're right.
There was nothing. And now all of a sudden he's the second quarterback off the board. I'm still going to be stunned if that happens.
The quarterback that I had just in my mind put away for the second day was Jalen Milroe. And now I feel like Milroe could be the surprise, quote unquote. But I think Milroe is going to be drafted with the idea that he's the next Jordan Love, where you put him behind a veteran and he's just the guy that you're developing. I don't see that from Shedeur. Like, I don't know why, just based on the pro offense, the style of offense where quick passing game, you need a solid offensive line in front of the guy at the NFL level. That's for sure. You can't go with the Colorado offensive line and get away with it and win the type of games and throw for the yards and complete 74% of your passes. You need some receivers like Travis Hunter, too. But I saw enough from Shedeur Sanders to know that he's not some scrub. And while I don't think he's the best quarterback in a bad quarterback draft, he's also just not a career backup. The career backups would be in the back of the line of the bad quarterback draft, and he's been the number 1 or number 2 quarterback by many. And still, I think, even though that we see he's still the third quarterback in many's list, and they haven't been listing Jackson Dart until right now. Jalen Milroe was said to be like true developmental player. So was Anthony Richardson, and the guy was drafted 4th, and the guy barely played in college. I say all that to say, why would the Browns, the Giants, the Raiders, the Jets, the Saints, the Steelers, why would all of those teams say, you know what, we're good, we could use a quarterback, but we're just not going to invest in one right now. We're going to wait and go with a QB later that no one's really been discussing as the next starter for an NFL organization. I just don't see it. I can see the Giants trading out of 3. If they do that, that's where you would trade out and think you could get Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe. I wouldn't think I could get Shedeur Sanders there.
Here's what I'll say about Shedeur Sanders, because there's been so much negativity surrounding him, and it just feels like all negative takes on him that we're seeing right now. It's kind of getting pushed through the ether to everyone. He's not a perfect quarterback.
No.
He doesn't have the biggest arm, but I feel like when he's on time in the offense, he's highly accurate. He gets the ball to his playmakers. And I'll say an underrated fact that I saw about him in the games I watched. Dude is exceptionally tough. I saw him get his ass knocked down a bunch at Colorado. There were games where I remember one late game scenario in overtime, a game they won, where he got knocked down on a previous play on a scramble, hit hard. The very next play, they're hurrying up to the line, and he's shoving his running back from behind into the end zone and hitting guys. On the way in, I'm thinking, that's not what you'd expect from some diva entitled son of an NFL Hall of Famer. That's all flash and no substance. That's not what I'd expect out of a guy like that. And he didn't play that way. I thought he was a tough player at Colorado. I don't know that he's a great player.
He's not
great. I think he's a good enough quarterback to get drafted in the first round somewhere to a quarterback-needy team. I don't think he's some great prospect, ultimately. But I think he's a lot tougher than people are giving him credit for. And there was never really anything off the field.
See,
with him, right? There's not a single mention about him that way.
There's no issue whatsoever with that. And honestly, I didn't see anything with Colorado in that regard. Just to mention the headlines that were, I didn't see the negative publicity from that angle. All I heard was from a leadership standpoint, guys follow him, gravitate to him. Now, we did have the one deal where we had the corner transfer to Austin P. and Shedeur acted like he didn't know who he was. Don't even know.
That's
the
one thing I can think about that rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah,
and his brother Shiloh said something about him too because they were in the same defensive back room.
That's right. But a lot of it is Deion driven. And I believe that. But in comparing, if we're going to say one's cocky and one's confident, Deion's both. I think Shedeur's more confident. He doesn't come across as the showman. He certainly got that. What did how does Deion say it? He earned that before he even needed to earn that because it's Deion's son. But I don't count that against him. I just compared the two. I count that for him because the guy's backed it up where he's been. I don't know why that is such a negative to some people.
I don't either. And look, any genetic tie to Deion Sanders should be a positive, right? If you were the offspring of that athlete that transcended the sport, like that to me is a positive. Now, if you're trying to glean some negative from the whole Deion situation, if I'm a GM or coach, I'm thinking he's never played for a single other person. So how's that going to translate, right? Like from Pop Warner on, Deion has been his coach every step along the way through high school.
I love what he's been saying
through college at Jackson State and Colorado. Like that's the one thing I'd want to know more about if you're trying to see a negative with Deion. But I mean, come on, did Christian McCaffrey being the son of Ed McCaffrey hurt him? I mean, if you're the son of an NFL star or NFL player, especially if that NFL star is Deion Sanders, that should be a positive.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I like what he said about not playing for Deion. He's like, it's time for me to soar. It's time for me to fly. I like that and how he's approached it.
Baby bird's got wings.
And in thinking about the anonymous quote where he's the worst interview ever, I can't buy it because if there's one thing I know, the Sanders know how to talk. They can sit down and own a room and take up the 18 minutes that's allotted at the combine. If they don't want to be in the room, they can waste a lot of time talking and then GTFO. So even if he's with a team that he doesn't really want to play for and he's being interviewed by them, he can take one answer and just say, let me take the stage here and take up some time. Let me filibuster. There's no doubt he could do that.
He's very confident, borderline cocky. I mean, I've seen him in interviews, and he comes across as arrogant at times, but worst interview ever. But I just don't see in any realm where he'd be the worst interview ever.
The other quote about he makes you feel small. It's like, what? I've never felt that at all when he's doing media sessions. The Combine media session was excellent. He was great at the podium, which for some reason he's at the same time as Cam Ward.
This just gets me back on the whole kick that I hate these anonymous quotes so much.
Even the positive one?
Well, the positive one, at least he was negative about the person giving the quote. It was more of the tennis match back and forth.
The second word from the anonymous executive, the anonymous negative quotes.
Yeah.
Just like, what?
Spoke to a high-level NFL exec, and here's what he had to say about the anonymous negative quotes. I hate anonymous quotes. Total garbage. Now, again, he's talking about negative quotes. This guy's not saying anything negative about
Right.
He's just saying, keep it to yourself.
What if it's the same guy?
The league knows what they know. Individual teams know what they know about the prospects. You don't have to crap on the guy before draft night. It's not like that one anonymous quote's going to sway someone from not picking him. I totally get what the anonymous NFL executive, high-ranking, by the way, high-ranking NFL executive is saying to Jordan Schultz.
And the anonymous team that's going to want to draft him late in the first round if he falls, that's a better situation for Shedeur Sanders. If he falls in the first round and is drafted in the first round, it's a better situation than where he would have gone, which is the Cleveland Browns or the New York Giants.
To the person with the team, Hutton, that you keep referencing, this person who says he made me feel small or it makes you feel small. Yeah. What I hate about that is there's zero analysis in that.
None.
If you want to take that and say, this guy had an air about him that you couldn't teach him anything, and I hope he understands that he's got a lot to learn in NFL offensive systems. That is analysis, right? That is taking something in a personality or a face-to-face interaction and analyzing it, not saying, he really made me feel small, and I need to go talk to someone about it now.
And then right before,
come on, that's not analysis. That's just your personal read on it.
Oh, and in that same quote, it's like he's always on the lookout for doing what's best for him and what is going to make him the most success or give him the most. I'm like, good. Like I want that quarterback on the field.
Yeah, your success is my success.
Well, but
this is a common thing. Like, if I feel like I know your motivations, then I can work with you. If Shedeur Sanders' motivation is to be in the best possible situation and to win at a high level and be a great NFL quarterback, I'm fine with that.
Me too.
Because that success helps my success as an NFL team's exec, coach, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, whatever.
Whatever it is.
All in it together. Yes, absolutely. We want you to be a big success too.
No doubt.
I don't see the problem with that.
Maybe we see a team jump back in for him.
But if we're back here tomorrow and he's not in the first round, I'm going back to my original thesis.
Oh, hey.
I will be shocked. Even if it's late first round and Jackson Dart goes before him, I'm going to be shocked.
If we are back here tomorrow and he wasn't drafted in the first round, the Cleveland Browns hold the first pick of the round 2. Just saying.
That's what Hutton's holding out hope for. Can you imagine a day-long celebration of the Hutton prediction coming true?
Day-long?
Oh, no, I'm saying the entire show will be based around our anticipation of the Browns drafting Shedeur with the first pick of Friday night. And then we have a full parade to go on after that.
And then they draft Shuck.
Is Tyler Castle ready for us to buy Cleveland Browns jerseys like
he's wearing one today?
He's wearing it here for the draft. We're going to be watching the draft here at 6 and Peabody together. A lot of us are.
Yeah.
I mean, if this comes true, I may join the dog pound. I may wear like a Dotson face mask.
You're going to wear a bag over your head?
And bark? Yeah, I'm going to bark. I'm going to be one of those guys who bark. I'm going to be the guy that I hate.
You're going to paper bag over your head?
Like the Georgia Bulldog fan who just barks at people. I'm going to be a barker.
You're going to wear a Kelly Holcomb jersey?
Yes, absolutely. Love Kelly.
Me too.
Tim Couch? Do they still sell any Tim Couch number 2 jerseys in Cleveland? We can get those. What if I just wore a different failed Browns quarterback, Deshaun Kaiser? Every single day of the week, I go brown, white, failed Browns quarterback until eventually I get to the Shedeur Sanders.
Who was the awful quarterback that they traded for the Texans or whatever?
The backup.
Yeah.
With the Texans?
A former Oklahoma State Cowboy.
Brandon Whedon. Who was like 28 years old when he entered the league?
Yeah.
Professional baseball player.
Yes.
I was like, Mormon mission or professional baseball? That's usually the reason for a guy to be 28 when they go in the league. Here's his pro baseball.
You're being asked for a practice bark. Do you want a practice bark yet, or do you want to wait?
I really...
It's just natural, organically. There it is. There's the practice bark.
That's the best bark. The scariest if someone just yells hammer. A buddy taught me that, like you growl and yell hammer at somebody.
That's the bark if you see a mole in Chad's yard.
I wish there was some sort of sound that could repel
you need a dog.
mole.
Get a dog. Get rid of the moles in your yard.
The dog would also kill the bunnies that are burrowed right now in the yard, and that would be bad for the daughters. We've made a little protection area for the bunnies.
Fair enough. What if they're
look, I feel like I've lost my heart over the years in a lot of ways, and I'm pretty heartless about things.
You've
even I would have a hard time like running a lawnmower over a bunch of bunnies if that's what happened.
He has dined on heart. No joke.
I would not.
He's had heart for dinner.
Yeah, beef heart. A beef heart Reuben sandwich. I'll tell you this: the sauerkraut was better than the heart on that Reuben. That Russian dressing.
The soul of that beef is still in
Russian dressing was better than the heart.
Chad's bloodline now.
I had immediate sweats after taking a bite of that Reuben.
Oh, we've got plenty coming here on the program. Stay tuned. Armando Salguero will join us. Plus, inside the draft room of the Chargers next.